Welcome to Lead at Every Level, Session 2. I'm Robin. This session is about casting and catching a vision. Today, you will learn how mission, vision, and values align to help an individual, a team, an entire entity achieve higher shared outcomes. This session is an investment into you by your S&E leadership team and the Evolve Initiative, because they believe as you bring out your best, S&E wins, HPE wins. This leadership course is for any person who wants to lead yourself and others to higher shared outcomes, whether you are in a formal leadership role or in any role. Welcome aboard. This is how we'll step through our topics today. We do have some handouts. You will use those. The first thing I'd like to do is recap where we've come so far. In session 1A and B, we provided an overview for topics that we're going to develop much further in these subsequent sessions. The first thing we asked is, can I be a leader? And we affirmed that everyone can be. We defined leadership as going somewhere worth going and bringing others with you. We acknowledge that there are certainly formal people roles where you are formally responsible for that, but we also said any role can be a leadership role if you're willing to embrace principles of high performance leadership. And then we began to share some of those. First, we said a leader initiates bold moves. A leader goes first in the risks and sacrifice and last in the food line. So essentially, a leader does first what would be asked of anyone else and then says, join me. The second one is a leader embraces a lifelong journey of pushing for better with a growth mindset. This is all about bringing out our best and then drawing out the best in others. And number three, a leader wants those high outcomes to be joint outcomes that are mutually beneficial, to produce profitable outcomes through and for the people around them as a service, to make a positive difference for others by their presence, to be a force for good, if you will. And they know that we over I outcomes tend to be forces for good. By the way, in the chat, do you know where the term a force for good comes from? If you know, just throw it into the chat. Okay, that's a good guess. That's not what I was thinking. So we'll see. Who knows where a force for good comes from? You will know by the midpoint of this session. Anybody else? Any other guesses? Okay, there we go. Yep, the values. That's right. So we're going to look at those in just a moment. But it's true, Star Wars does have a force as well, and it is a force for good, hopefully. We called this series Lead at Every Level because everyone can live these three principles at work, in our friendships, and in our homes to the degree that we do, we're leading. We talked about personality, and we said there's no necessarily perfect personality for leading. If we were to Google leadership styles, we would find many, including terms like authoritarian, participative, delegative, transactional, transformational, and many more. And while each style or temperament may prove particularly beneficial in a certain situation, every style has strengths and weaknesses. So no one style is going to be the best all the time. And that's okay as long as we're willing to keep improving ourselves to bring out our best strengths and then look around us to see what the strengths of others are and bring out those so we can collaborate together. That's really what a leader does. You can lead with any of these temperaments, but you're going to need people with you who have the other ones to have higher outcomes. By the way, we each do tend to lean toward one of these temperaments. Here's a plug. Go listen to the current quarter's S&E Learning Forum. You can learn how to use that knowledge to communicate more effectively with your teammates. But the question, can I be a leader, is answered this way. The potential is in everyone. Anyone who's willing to discipline ourselves in integrity and maturity and sincerity and collaborate to win is a leader. And my hope is that everyone here will take that on and say, I'll be a leader at any level. Now, we said last time there are two fundamental leader actions, influencing and enabling, and that everything a leader does essentially is influencing or enabling in some way. And we expanded those into three categories of actions. So these are action words, and we made some categories out of that. Number one was navigating and guiding from out in front. And that aligns with the first principle of leadership. The leader goes first, does first what she or he is asking others to do. Number two was giving side by side support. That's the second principle, pushing for better with a growth mindset, doing it alongside others so you can help bring out their best. And number three is a leader promotes interpersonal respect in our influence circles. And that's principle three, we over I. So now you can see how that aligns together. From there, we expanded these three actions categories into larger lists and defined each one. Finally, we embedded it all into this model. It depicts the stages of achievement from the first vision that you might have of some great outcome all the way to the realization of it. And today, what we're going to do is dig in deeper to this first piece. If someone asked you, what does the word vision put into your mind in terms of thoughts or images, what would you say? Share some thoughts on that in the chat. Foresight, that's great. What else? Futuristic outlook. Yes, yes. 5-year plan, definitely. Yes. What else? Goals. Yes. Dreams. Yeah, fantastic. Let me share some other things that have been said about vision. Vision comes from what can be. Vision inspires hope in greater possibilities. Vision gives direction for efforts. Vision sustains a long journey. Vision beats stumbling around in the dark. Let me share a quick story. Years ago, my family took a guided excursion through Mammoth Cave National Park in the U.S. state of Kentucky. It's said to be the longest cave system on Earth. It's been mapped 400 miles, and it goes even beyond that. On longer tours, you end up twisting and turning and crawling and climbing and descending. Anything you want to do, there's a tour that will let you do that. There's a highlight of the tour, or maybe I'd say low light, when your guides, when you're miles underground, suddenly turn off all the lights. When they do this, it gets so dark, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. After a few minutes, you become very disoriented. You can't even find your face with your own hand. They're having a good time. You can hear them chuckling as you're going through this. And about that time, they have a really good time upsetting you further by telling you stories of people who were lost in the caves, never to be heard again. They keep it dark like this until you can barely stand it. And then they flip on the lights. They say something like, aren't we grateful for vision? This story can help us see something very powerful about vision, and that is that vision matters. It's essential for life, but I don't mean eyes. There have been many sight disabled but very visionary people who brought tremendous works for good in the world, while others who have working eyes but less vision have not. So think about for a minute some famous inventors like Louis Bell, who invented the Braille reading system, or Mohammed Abudaya, who invented a deep sea diving submarine. Imagine that. And that's just a few. This is the kind of vision we are talking about today. This kind of seeing the light is better in all of life than stumbling around in the darkness like we were in that cave. This kind of vision is essential for leadership because a leader is going to cast a vision for others to see it and feel it and catch passion for it. So leaders got to have some vision. There's something interesting about vision. There are some other words that generally come up as conversation around vision takes place. Words like values, mission, strategy. You tend to hear those words alongside that word vision. So why don't we take a moment to define and explore each of these words? If we think of leadership as a discipline and influencing and enabling as two primary actions of that discipline, then mission, vision, values, even strategies are arenas of achievement that leaders do those two actions in. What I mean is this: when you and I are influencing and enabling, we're often doing it for the purpose of elevating a mission, a vision, values, or a strategy. And that's particularly so in a workplace. So, to put more simply, our purpose as leaders is to elevate who we are as a people and why we choose to be this way. That's our values. What we're doing to impact the world, that is our mission. And where we're going right now in that mission and what we will look like when we get there. That's what vision is. That's what leading is all about. So let's define these words and then begin working with them. A mission statement is something that a person or company writes down to describe where they want to go, what they want to do in the world. Now, the mission itself is what we'll do together and why we'll do it. It's our purpose, the climb we want to make, the positive dent we want to put in the world, or the positive legacy we want to leave. That's our mission. And that tends to be fairly stable throughout the lifetime of a person or an entity. Great people and great entities have carried a great sense of purpose beyond just making money. Yeah, there are people out there who just live to make money, but that's not a mission. A mission is to do something that's positive for other people, have a good reason for our existence, whether we're a company or a person, contribute something uniquely valuable to the world that only we can contribute. Now, once we have built a statement around this goal, we want to put it somewhere we can see it and refer to it often and repeat it often. That's going to help us not get derailed during hard times or distracted by good things we could choose to do, but aren't actually in line with where we said we want to put value into the world. That's where your trade-off decisions happen as leaders. Do we do this or this? Well, the first thing you can go do is say, does this line up with our mission? If yes, okay, let's consider it. If no, okay, it's good to do, but maybe not for us. Maybe we leave that for someone else. Give a thumbs up if that starts to make sense. If you're referring to this mission statement, it gives you an idea of how to prioritize, how to decide what you'll do. Okay, good. Now, in a minute, we're going to look at some very powerful mission statements and explore some steps to build one of our own. Vision is the what, the picture of the future we seek to create together on our mission. So vision is seeing ahead to something that is not yet or not fully yet, but could be. So we keep moving toward it so it will be. We've been saying that leading fundamentally is influencing and enabling, and it's doing that toward something. That something is the vision. It's meant to be inspirational, aspirational, help us focus on what matters most, like the mission does. It's usually a longer statement than a mission statement, and we'll get into those details in a moment. It also can tend to adjust over time more than a mission does. A mission is a lifetime. A vision is something we want to do here and now, an end state of something we want to do here and now in the next months or years ahead of that lifetime. A mission statement creates our cause. A vision is, we call it the mountaintop, a peak. It's a view of what it will look like when we reach a summit in our mission. Let me put it this way. Say you're starting some form of rigorous training that's going to require months or even years of sacrifice and toil. Ask you to do certain things when you just don't feel like it, like get up early, and to abstain from certain things when other people are freely partaking in it. Maybe there's certain foods that you got to stay away from. They're fine, but they're not going to help you with what you're needing to do. A strong vision is what's going to help you stay on that course. It's something to look forward to. A vision demands disciplined long-term thinking. Here's an example of that. When I was a kid, I had a friend who I used to go to a local toy store with occasionally. And if I had money, I would buy an action figure. And he rarely did. One time I asked him, why don't you buy one? And he pointed to this huge play set and said, Well, I'm saving for nicer things. He had a vision for a better thing. He did get it. So I was at his house playing with his playset a good bit because I didn't have it. I just had these little individual things because I didn't save up. That's a quick example. Now let's build some other examples to really drive home what a vision is. Okay. First, a radical life example. Let's say that we envision ourselves one day being Olympic gymnasts with a stadium packed full of people. Now, it's going to take some hard work, isn't it? Maybe it'd be good to paint a vision in our minds of what that'll look like and feel like. Sense the lights spinning around you as you're flying through the air. Feel the impact of the canvas as you stick the landing. The heat of the lights as you're standing there and the perspiration, the roar of the applause, and you see the numbers going up that looks like you're going to win gold. You can build that vision and it'll help you get up earlier, train longer and harder, eat like an Olympian now, years before you are one. Vision is what helps us think long term. How about a simpler one? Like some people want to marry someday. So we could paint a picture in our mind of what that might look like, what a day of joining and celebration might look like. What would the venue look like? What music is playing? What people who are important to us are looking on? What kind of person is looking into our eyes? What is that person's character like, the smile like? We can build a vision around that, and it can help us start preparing years before to be the kind of person that kind of person we're looking for is looking for. We make choices in the direction of the me we see ourselves being on that day. It helps us think long term. Work example. Let's say your vision is to be a great facilitator. Say for a business plan, you want to be a facilitating leader. So see yourself now at the head of the room, surrounded by the decision team. They're all around you. And creative ideas are flowing from every direction, forming a robust affinity diagram on the board as good ideas gather and they connect and they meld into great ideas. And then finally, breakthroughs. Those breakthroughs, you can see them emerging naturally as you artfully are drawing out and guiding the inputs. Put that in your head. Now look at the eyes of the attendees lighting up as they see that better outcomes are happening together than any one of them could have produced alone. And see yourself congratulating them because that's what great facilitators do, knowing on the inside that your skill was a critical agent, that they could not have done this without you. You made the difference. Feel that. That's a vision. Will that vision sustain you in the months and years it will take to amass knowledge and skill? Pour over planning tools, practice in front of mirrors, shadow other facilitators. That's what it does take. Now, I know a little about this journey. It's one I'm always on. If that's something that you want to be on, let me add one more element to this vision. In vision hearing, you are a natural. Any session you leave, when you hear that, you will know that you put enough work and sweat into that session. You did the true job of a leading facilitator, which is to make a very hard thing look and feel effortless. So the meeting can go forward and smoothly and get things done, to guide the team to make team decisions so they will own those decisions. And now they're invested in them. And so you know they're going to work harder in them. That's the job of a facilitator. So when you hear you're a natural, they don't know how you did everything you did, but you know it was because of the hard work that you put in and the hours and hours and hours that you put into it to make it look like you were a natural. So envision that. Is that enough to have you do the work? That is vision. Now we come to values. For a vision analogy, I gave a work one, a couple non-work ones, and there's a reason for that. I want you to think in terms of being the same person everywhere, to be integral, no work face and weekend face, the same person when you're working upward and downward. Your team members see the same person your boss sees. The person at the checkout line at the store sees the same person that you're putting on for your leaders. your best, most integral you everywhere for everyone, seeking to benefit them today because of your presence. What I'm asking you to do is build a baseline of values that you will always live by on your mission toward whatever the vision. Values are the baseline to a mission and a vision. We'll spend a good time on this because at the end of this session, you're going to build a values statement. Core values are beliefs that underlie and define every organization. A values statement is a written list of character traits that reflect who we choose to be. Such a list says, whatever we do, we're going to do it this way to be true to us. There's a book called The Fifth Discipline. It's a very famous leadership book right now. Peter Senge in this book writes, core values answer the question, how do we want to act in our mission along the path toward achieving our vision? For our mission and vision to be successful, they must be congruent with who we are. So our values will influence what mission we take on and what vision we pursue together, because we have to have one that lines up with who we are. This is going to make a lot of sense when we go to build a mission statement. Keeping a value statement in front of us at all times and repeating it to ourselves helps us stay true to our best self. It helps us maintain our energy in times of challenge and temptation, maintain our integrity in those times. It's guardrails, keeps us in the road of who we say we are. We won't cover strategy today. That's for the next session. But I want you to have a good example definition. So it's right here. A mission is comprised of one or more strategies. Each strategy is a formula, really. It's goals times methods. That's it. And that involves time and resource constraints. You can't do everything, so you have to make decisions. You have to have a strategy on how we're going to use our time and resources, what are our goals, and what methods are we going to use our time and resources to do. And by the way, tactics are methods and tools employed together to accomplish a strategy. So if you ever hear the word tactic, that's all it is. Let's recap so far. A mission could remain stable for a long time. A vision can be adjusted now and then. Strategies are adjusted much more frequently. You may have a new strategy every year or for every program that comes out. So if you're always wondering, well, why are we changing strategies all the time? Aren't we stable? Yes, as long as our mission is stable, we are stable. What's happening is your leaders are looking at the mission and they're looking at the changing circumstances and saying, okay, what do we need to do to adjust so we're still on track with the mission? Before we go further, let me share a couple powerful mission statements. See if you can guess who this is. What company is this? And I'll show the vision as well. Ready? Someone take a guess. What company do you think this is? Just throw it in the chat if you think you know. Amazon. All right, that's a good guess. Let's see. You're probably Googling it. Are you Googling it? No, it's State Farm, who is a partner of ours. How about this one? You may be able to guess this one by the words. Take a look. Tesla. Yes, very good. How about these? One of these. Just give it a shot. Any one of these. Okay. Maybe. Maybe. Visa, Google, and Nike. All right. So you get an idea. And when you take a look at these later, look at the power, look at the passion in these mission and vision statements. How about this one? Do you recognize this? You should recognize this. Yeah, very good. Us. Can anyone tell me where the values are on this statement? Do you see them? Those are the values. How about a mission? Do you see a mission here? Do you see it now? How about a vision? Do you see a future state that we're heading for on this page? Sure you do. There it is. I'm just showing you that to say this. We have a really well-crafted value set, mission, and vision. It's pretty cool, right? If you're working to one of these, then you're making a difference in your work every day. Our mission, vision, and values are right up there with the leading companies in the world. And it's because a lot of time has gone into crafting these. I'm going to show you how this is done in this session, and you're going to build your own. So I hope you're kind of excited about that idea. Now, just to show it, here's mine. I'll talk about it more later when you've built yours so you can understand it more. But I want to share some general thoughts about why I did this. One, this will help you stay accountable to yourself, doing something like this, really thinking this through and saying, what is my mission wherever I'm at? I made mine very generic so that it's applicable at work and in my outside work life because I want to be the same person there. And so I'm always judging myself. Am I elevating excellence by increasing capability and confidence and character in some way wherever I'm at? My vision is whenever I go into a new group of people or an existing group of people, because of my influence, more of them will see the best in themselves and the best in one another, and they'll be respecting one another more. And through that, they'll be accomplishing more than they would have if I weren't there. And I kind of made a little diagram of where those places are where I'm hoping to do those things. That will keep you accountable in the harder days. Especially, it keeps you accountable because people who are close to you see this and they will know if you're doing this. If you share this with them, they definitely will hold you accountable for it. So that's another value for doing this. The second thing is it'll help you stay motivated. Our work comes fast, right? We have many, many tasks. We're doing a ton all the time. Let's say we bring in 10 tasks today, we do 10 and we get 10 more tomorrow. Sometimes it can feel like we're not getting anywhere, we're not accomplishing anything. But we are if we're doing it according to our mission and our values, and we can see that we are in how we do it. In other words, you're not just doing the tasks, but you're doing it in a way that does the things that you say are your mission and your value. Then you can leave the work every day going, I made a difference. I used to walk out to my car and say, did I make a difference today? Yes, I think I did. A couple of years into doing that, I started to realize what I'm really asking is, am I staying on my mission, targeting my vision? Am I doing something, any one thing in any meeting I had today? Did I hit one of these somehow? Good. Then I'm making a difference in how I work. Here's the thing. We could just mope through our tasks every day and just do them with no motive, but why? Why not do more than that and have more impact? Let me stop here. Anything?
Especially like what we did by reviewing the mission, and vision and values for HPE. I was familiar with all of them, but I have never actually analyzed it in the way we just did. So thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure. I think that is so. I think a lot of us don't really see how does this fit together? It all fits together. Yeah, great. Anybody else?
I really liked your example of you buying the action figures versus your friend
Mm,
saving up for the set. Those kind
yeah,
of sharp examples really bring stuff home for me. That's what sticks as opposed to the more corporate speak, you know?
here we go. We're going to do this part really fast, and then we're going to jump into telling you how to build a value statement for yourself. First, let's build a picture of how this stuff works together graphically. I'm going to use the basic framework of a business plan, a strategic business plan. Basically, values are going to be over on the left because they are who we are and why we do what we do. So we want to stay true to our values. Values lead to a mission. Based on who we are, this is what we want to do in the world. That's where the mission comes from. And that leads to a vision. Here's who we are. Here's what we want to do in the world. Right now, we're going to head toward a certain peak, something we want to accomplish in our mission, like the gold medal, the brass ring, the wedding ring, the new frontier, whatever that is that will keep us motivated right now in this part of the mission. It's what we will look like when we've accomplished it. And then the strategies, just to show you this, how we do the mission. Winning is not by accident. We have goals and methods. That's what we do. This is true of every person. This is true of every team. This is true of every company. Values provide the baseline behind it all. They drive the mission, which drives a vision, which drives our strategies. Here's another view, just if you want a different way. Yeah, that's right. AA and S. Mm-hmm. We have an S&E mission and vision. Each portion of S&E has a mission and vision, and I bet you can go back and plot that in, see how it fits up with the HPE one. A lot of thought goes into making sure that's happening. Here's what I want to talk about from this. Values are really going to help us make important decisions every day as individuals, groups, and a business. While vision can reflect something we want to become one day, our values must describe real facts about who we are right now to be valuable. If they do, they help us not get lost in emotions. Think of it this way. Thumbs up here. Would you want your manager, like me, there are some members of my team on here, to evaluate your performance based on how they're feeling that day? Maybe they spilled their coffee on themselves and they're in a really bad mood. Would you want them to give you an appraisal based on their feelings? Okay. Okay, right. Or would you want a team member to give effort based on how they're feeling that day? How about this? Say you're in some sort of exclusive relationship with another person. Would you want them to stay committed or not, depending on how they feel that day? I would personally not. How about this? Would it be wise for a company to operate their business by reacting wildly on short-term impulses based on things like, what did the competitor do this morning? What did some other company post on social media that they say worked for them today? Or what other wind and wave comes? This is reacting on emotion and has no sail or rudder. We're not thinking long term. Values give us a rudder. That's why they define our mission and our vision. Ideally, we would make all our decisions on logic. I mean, that would be great. Unfortunately, statistics say that emotion tends to drive more of our decisions. And for those of you who attended the S&E forum, even for the contemplative types, we tend to think emotionally first. But identifying deep values, putting them to paper when we're not in moments of high stress can help us stay true to who we are in the decisions we make in those moments. We're willing to say, I don't want to go with my feelings. I want to go with who I am right now. That's for a person or a business. Values help us stay true to who we are. This is not ignoring emotions. This is the true outlet of emotional intelligence. Emotions are good gauges, but we don't want to make decisions based on emotions. We want to make decisions based on our rudder, our values. And here's the reason. We're going to have easy days, days in the sun where things are going great. It can be easy to take shortcuts or at least be tempted to do that, to maybe not do our fair share because we're doing fine. Why do I need to pour in 100%? Maybe be less diligent in some work than we should. Or if you're in a formal leader role like I am, maybe it'd be easy to put some burdens on other people that we don't take on ourselves. Test our integrity. Test our emotional integrity, our ability to think beyond our emotions and do the right thing anyway. Now, stormy days happen too. These are days that will test our endurance. Maybe here it's about opportunities to push to win at any cost, including who we are, instead of pushing to win only the right way, true to who we are. It's been said that only a person who really has experienced high pressures and temptation without giving in to them can speak of any authority of how heavy they were. If someone just gives in to every pressure, then they really don't know about pressure, do they? And we probably know people like that. They just seem to have no convictions and they're just going by their whims every day. Well, you can't really afford to be that way if you want to accomplish something. If you want to have a mission in your life and a vision of where you're going, you can't do that. And certainly a company cannot do that. It won't be a company for very long if it doesn't have a mission. And a mission means I'm willing to think by my values when the winds and the waves are coming. Make long-term decisions. Just because my competitor is doing something this morning, that doesn't mean I need to completely change my strategy. Now, if I start to see a lot of trends on this and we see the world heading that way, yeah, maybe so. But I'm thinking by my values. We're going to learn to identify core values right now.
Now this here is a high-value automobile. It is reliable, dependable, unstoppable.
On fire?
On fire. On fire!
We said values are guardrails, guiding principles. They are the things that are most important to you. If you can identify those values in yourself, it can help you and me make good decisions even in times of high emotion. We want to bring those to the front and refer to it often so that we can make sure that we're not letting our emotions get away from us, that we really are making good value-based decisions. And here is the exercise. You're going to take this home with you because this is going to take some time. This is really going to power the second half, and we're going to do some work together. What I'd like you to do is take this list, 286 value words, and begin to circle any that resonate with you. It doesn't matter how many. Just begin to go through a first pass and say, how many of these things do I think really hit me somewhere on the inside, and start circling them. And then leave it. Come back in a day and now write down a new list of only the ones you circled. Review that list for a couple days and then circle the ones that really mean the most to you now and reduce it down. Keep following this until you've got your 5. You want to not rush it. Take a couple weeks to do this because you want to get your emotions out of it. You want to really think rationally. Who am I? What drives me? And get down to a set of core values that you say, I can live by this. Here's some things that might help you, questions that might help you narrow this down. You might say, which of these are really important to me? When do I feel the most like me? Which motivate me to take actions? In times of temptation or tension, which of these words help me make better decisions that I don't regret later? Which of these words creates anxiety in me when I see someone violate them? Would I hold myself accountable for treating others this way? Really good questions to ask yourself. You're going to find that you'll still have 10 or more. You begin to really ask yourself, which of these is the most important? They can all be important, but which one is a big deal to me and why? And which ones would I be willing to sacrifice others for? That's going to help you get it down to your 5. Not easy, but you can do it. Here's my 5. You can put this in a couple different ways. You can make phrases, and that helps me remember them. Other people prefer just words. These are my top core values: integrity, excellence, initiation, elevation, and creativity. I'm trying to be the same person, keep growing, and be excellent to the best of my ability in every circumstance that I can. I'm trying to be an initiator. I mean by that, if there's a need that needs to be met and no one else is meeting it, I want to be willing to do it. I want to elevate, and that means elevate other people around me to help them see the best in themselves, the best in one another, and bring out better. That's what I'm always trying to do, whatever opportunity I get. And the last is creative. I can't just be in the box of boring. I have a hard time with that. So I want to try to do things in different ways to drive the message forward. But that's it. That's my 5. What does this have to do with HPE, though? Bringing out my best there. Let me show you. You ready? Let's do an exercise. What you're going to do, you have a handout for this. You're going to write the HPE values at the top of a piece of paper. Write the company values there. On the left side, you'd write your top 5. Just write them down. Beside it, write down any convergence values. In other words, any points where your values have convergence between you and the HPE values. What you're going to find is these are the strongest places in which you bringing out your best is going to help bring out HPE's best. In this example, we're saying there's 14. So I did that, and here they are. Here's where my 5 fit. On the piece of paper, it looks like this. There's my 5, and I just grabbed some of the company values at the highest level. And on the side, which one of the company values aligns with each of my values? Or the other way, which of each of my values aligns with the company values? 18 points of convergence. That's a lot of ways every single day that the work that I'm doing can impact the company. And in a way that I'm feeling it, I'm motivated to do it. The reason I'm doing it is so that you don't just see these values on a piece of paper and say, well, that'd be really great. But you see yourself in them and say, gosh, I really am in these. And if I work a certain way and bring out my best, it is propagating these too. If I added the leader actions, I ended up with 37 points of convergence. That's a lot of opportunities in every single conversation, every project, every meeting to bring out your best in a way that also brings out HPE's best. It gets you excited about your work. Gosh, I'm not just making a training. I'm doing it in a way that's elevating the HPE values, but not just dryly. I'm doing it because I'm living mine, and that's elevating the company values. So I'm feeling really good. I'm really feeling like when I walked to the car, I made a difference today. What's going to be really cool about it is that people catch that. They start to feel that energy, their energy raises, and that heat, that passion, it's almost like filling up a hot air balloon, and we're all rising up higher if you're willing to take the time to do this. It's very exciting. And here's the other thing. New people who are coming into the company, if they're seeing everyone living these values, they're going to make a decision. Is this a place I'd be comfortable with or not? And over time, the company ends up with more and more and more people who are very passionate about these values. And just imagine what that would do. We said emotion impacts behavior. It drives us more than we wish it would. Values can impact it more. Here are some things that living to values can do for you. And everybody benefits when your work is that way. The people around you, the organization, the company, that's why we're driving to values. We're going to pause here. When we come back for the second half of this session, about 4 weeks from now, we will look at the steps of building a mission statement. We'll consider what that might look like for a company like ours, and then you will build a personal mission statement. We will do the same thing for vision, and then we will explore a tool that can help us assess the plausibility of a vision. After that, we'll learn to catch a high-level or corporate vision and recast it across our peers and teams in a way that motivates them by helping them see how their work matters to the big picture. In the meantime, do take the time to complete your core values exercise and your values convergence exercise. If you will do that, you'll be in a great place to write your mission and vision statements when we rejoin together, because you'll need that to do those things. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Rhonda, Lynn, the S&E leadership team, the Evolve Initiative. We really appreciate your support as we put this material together. And thank you so much for everyone who gave your time today. This investment back into yourself is an investment into your future and HPE's future. See you next time.